Let's take a look at charisma. Charisma, like leadership itself, has been defined in various ways. Nevertheless, there is enough consistency among these definitions to make charisma a useful concept in understanding and practicing leadership. Charisma is a Greek word meaning divinely inspired gift. In the study of leadership, charisma is a special quality of leaders whose purposes, powers, and extraordinary determination differentiate themselves from others. In general use, the term charismatic means to have a charming or colorful personality, such as that shown by many talk show hosts as an example. The various definitions of charisma have a unifying theme. Charisma is a positive and compelling quality that makes many others want to be led by the person who has it. The phrase many others is chosen carefully. Few leaders are perceived as charismatic by all of their constituents. Given that charisma is based on perceptions, an important element of charismatic leadership involves the attributions made by group members about the characteristics of leaders and the results they achieve. According to attribution theory, if people perceive a leader to have a certain characteristic, such as being visionary, the leader will be more likely to be perceived as charismatic. Attributions of charisma are important because they lead to other behavioral outcomes, such as commitment to leaders, self-sacrifice, and high performance. The study of charisma grows in importance when its effects are recognized, such as whether charismatic leaders can enhance productivity, lower accidents, and enhance job satisfaction. Much of the impact of charisma is based on the positive effect, emotion, that the charismatic leader triggers among group members. A group of researchers conducted a study of firefighters and their leaders to explore how the emotional concept of charisma affects the mood and happiness of subordinates. The firefighter study followed a preliminary laboratory study with college students designed to explore the leader's emotion that might affect subordinate behavior. The field study involved 216 firefighters and 48 officers. Happiness, including positive affect and negative affect or unhappiness, was measured through a questionnaire. The results suggested that firefighters under the command of a charismatic leader were happier than those under the command of a non-charismatic leader. Charismatic leaders who expressed positive emotion and thoughts tended to have even stronger impact on the positive emotional state of firefighters. The positive effect of the officers also tended to reduce negative effect among the firefighters. A conclusion of the study, going beyond firefighters, is that one of the many ways by which charismatic leaders emotionally impact subordinates is through enhancing their positive effect. Furthermore, happier leaders spread their positive mood to group members. The everyday use of the term charisma suggests that it's a straightforward and readily understood trait. Charisma has different meanings and dimensions. As a result, charismatic leaders can be categorized into various types, with three more relevant for today: socialized charismatics, personalized charismatics, and celebrities. Following the distinction made for the power motive, some charismatic leaders use their power for the good of others. A socialized charismatic is a leader who restrains the use of power in order to benefit others. This type of leader also attempts to bring group members' values in line with his or her values. The socialized charismatic formulates and pursues goals that fulfill the needs of a group member and provide intellectual stimulation to them. Followers of socialized charismatics are autonomous, empowered, and responsible. The effect of the socialized charismatic on followers provides more insight into this type of charismatic. In the socialized relationship, the followers have a clear sense of who they are and a clear set of values. The charismatic relationship gives them an opportunity to express their important values within the framework of being a group member, such as wanting to work together to preserve the planet. In a socialized relationship, the followers derive a sense of direction and self-expression not from identifying with the leader, but from the leader's message. The second type of charismatic leader is the personalized charismatic. Such individuals serve primarily their own interests and so exercise few restraints on the use of power. Personalized charismatics impose self serving goals on constituents, and they offer consideration and support to group members only when it facilitates their own goals. Followers of personalized charismatics are typically obedient, submissive, and dependent. They also identify more with the leader than the leader's message and therefore might follow the leader down an unethical path. Narcissism is a characteristic of charismatic leadership that warrants separate mention because of its major link with charisma. Narcissism is a relatively stable personality trait characterized by a sense of personal superiority, a desire for power, and a sense of self importance. Narcissists have little empathy for others because they are so focused on themselves. Many charismatic leaders are narcissistic or self adoring in excess. The narcissistic leader is likely to be charming except when engaging in excessive self puffery and blaming others for mistakes. Part of being charismatic is having a self promoting personality. They frequently toot their own horn and allow others to know how important they are. At their best, charismatic leaders who are narcissistic are effective in their roles. On the positive side, the air of confidence and dominance so characteristic of narcissism often inspires followers. A major buzzword in leadership and management is vision, the ability to imagine different and better future conditions and ways to achieve them. A vision is a lofty, long-term goal. An effective leader is supposed to have a vision, whereas an ineffective leader either lacks a vision or has an unclear one. Being a visionary is far from an ordinary task, and recent research in neuroscience suggests that visionary leaders use their brain differently than others. Many people use the terms vision and mission interchangeably, yet management theorists see them differently. A mission is a purpose and a reason for being, whereas a vision is a picture or an image of the future we seek to create. Creating a vision is one of the major tasks of top management, yet quite often vision statements fail to inspire constituents. There are certain elements of a vision. It's a reason for being beyond making money. It's timeless and unchanging core values, and it's ambitious but achievable in terms of goals. Vision statements typically relate to the entire organization, yet a leader or manager responsible for an organizational unit can have a vision about what he or she is attempting to accomplish. Although many vision statements appear as if they could be formulated in 15 minutes, managers invest considerable time in their preparation and often use many sources of data. After a vision statement has been formulated, a wide range of employees must be involved in implementing the vision. Charismatic and transformational leaders typically communicate their visions, goals, and directives in a colorful, imaginative, and expressive manner. In addition, they communicate openly with group members and create a comfortable communication climate. To set agendas that represent the interests of their constituents, charismatic leaders regularly solicit constituents' viewpoints on critical issues. They encourage two-way communication with team members while still promoting a sense of confidence. There are three related aspects of the style of charismatic leaders: leadership by inspiration, leadership by storytelling, and communication via social networking. The era of managing by dictate is being replaced by an era of leadership by inspiration. A well-chosen analogy or metaphor appeals to the intellect and to the imagination and to values. Metaphors and analogies are inspiring, but effective leaders must also choose the level of language that will suit their audience. This is important because constituents vary widely in verbal sophistication. An executive's ability to speak on a colloquial level helps create appeal. A person with a high status of executive is expected to use an elevated language style. When the person unexpectedly uses the everyday language of an operative employee, it may create a special positive response. A significant aspect of the communication style of charismatic and transformational leaders is that they make extensive use of memorable stories to get messages across. Leadership by storytelling is the technique of inspiring and instructing team members by telling fascinating stories. The technique is a major contributor to building a strong company culture. Storytelling also helps bring out the need for organizational change. Storytelling as a leadership tool has been elevated to such a level that some organizations hire corporate storytelling consultants to help their executives develop the art. Storytelling is regarded as a useful tool for getting people to embrace change because well crafted stories capture people's attention. To help facilitate interpersonal communication, charismatic leaders make extensive use of social networks, both in face to face interactions and through social media websites. The members of the network are basically contacts with whom the leader has some kind of relationship. The vast majority of managers and professionals also rely on social networking, yet charismatic leaders are particularly aware of its relevance for accomplishing their purposes. Charismatic leaders are aware of the importance of face to face interactions for establishing effective relationships with constituents. A charismatic leader is likely to invest time in activities like having lunch with group members, visiting group members at their offices, or chatting with subordinates in the parking lot or the cafeteria. Recognition of the importance of internal networks for building relationships and accomplishing goals, some large firms establish formal networking groups. The charismatic leader goes beyond the ordinary use of public social networking and company special media sites. The ordinary use of these websites would be to post status reports, present due dates, ask questions, and perhaps post trivial personal information. A more charismatic use of social networking sites would be to post messages designed to inspire, motivate, and make group members feel good about themselves and the organization. Despite the positive use of social networking sites to project charisma, the leader has to guard against posting sensitive information, such as the idea for a new product or service. A person can increase charisma by developing some of the traits, characteristics, and behaviors of charismatic people. For example, most people can enhance their communication skills, become more emotionally expressive, take more risks, and become more self-promoting. Behavior characteristics of charismatic people, such as these, can be developed through practice and self discipline. Being able to create visions for others will be a major factor in your being perceived as charismatic. A vision uplifts and attracts others. The visionary person looks beyond the immediate future to create an image of what the organization or unit within is capable of becoming. A vision is designed to close the discrepancy between current and ideal conditions. The vision thus sees beyond current reality. Another characteristic of an effective vision formulated by the leader is that it connects with the goals and dreams of constituents. A remarkable quality of charismatic people is that they maintain high enthusiasm, optimism, and energy throughout the entire workday and beyond. Elevating your energy level takes work, but here are a few suggestions. Get enough sleep, exercise, and consider switching to healthy, energy-enhancing diets. To keep chopping away at your to-do list so you don't have unfinished tasks on your mind. They'll drain your energy. An action orientation helps you to be enthusiastic, optimistic, and energetic. An action orientation also means that the charismatic person prefers not to agonize over dozens of facts and nuances before making a decision. Outstanding leaders also know when to cut their losses. If an idea or a product will not work, the sensible charismatic absorbs the loss and moves in another, more profitable direction. Charismatic leaders, as well as other successful people, can usually remember the names of people they have seen only a few times. This ability is partially due to a strong personal interest charismatic leaders take in other people. The surest way to remember names, therefore, is to really care about people. Failing that, the best way to remember a name is to listen carefully to the name, repeat it immediately, and study the person's face. A subtle, yet defining aspect of a truly charismatic person is one who connects well with others. A popular career advancement technique is to build a personal brand. Understanding your basket of strengths forms the basis for developing your personal brand. Your identity, as shown on the internet, including social networking sites such as Facebook, is also part of your personal brand. Your brand makes you unique, thereby distinguishing you from the competition. Another component of your personal brand is your appearance. By creating a polished appearance, a person can make slight gains in projecting a charismatic image. In most cases, the effect of appearance depends on the context. Charismatic people, especially effective leaders, are remarkably candid with people. Although not insensitive, charismatic people speak directly rather than indirectly so people know where they stand. The preferred route to being perceived as charismatic is to be a positive, warm, and humanistic person. Transformational leadership focuses on what the leader accomplishes, yet still pays attention to the leader's personal characteristics and relationships with group members. The transformational leader helps bring about a major positive change by moving group members beyond their self-interests and towards the good of the group, organization, and society. Because of its importance, transformational leadership has become the most widely researched leadership theory. The essence of transformational leadership is developing and transforming people. Transactional leaders, on the other hand, focus on standards. They focus more on routine transactions, rewarding group members for meeting standards known as contingent reinforcement. Extensive research by the late Bernard M. Bass indicates that transformational versus transactional distinction has been observed in a wide variety of organizations and cultures. Leaders often encounter the need to transform organizations from low performance to acceptable performance or from acceptable performance to high performance. At other times, a leader is expected to move a firm from a crisis mode to high ground. To accomplish these lofty purposes, the transformational leader attempts to overhaul the organizational culture or subculture. His or her task can be as immense as the process of organizational change. To focus our discussion specifically on the leader's role, we'll look at 10 ways in which transformations take place. The transformational leader makes group members aware of the importance of certain rewards and how to achieve them. He or she might point to the pride workers would experience should the firm become number one in its field. The transformational leader helps group members look to the big picture for the sake of the team and the organization. The transformational leader helps people go beyond a focus of minor satisfactions to a quest for self-fulfillment. The transformational leader must help the group member understand the need for change both emotionally and intellectually. An effective transformational leader recognizes the emotional resistance to change and deals with it openly. To create the transformation, the leader assembles a critical mass of managers and imbues them with the urgency for change. To sell this vision of an improved organization, the transformational leader must capitalize on available opportunities. By adopting this greatness attitude, leaders can enable human nature and strengthen society. Greatness in companies striving for business effectiveness, such as profits and high stock value, as well as impeccable ethics. Such thinking on the part of the transformational leader encourages many group members to do the same. Unless many people think with a future orientation and broadly, an organization can't be transformed. Another useful process for transforming an organization is to build trust between leaders and group members. Another way in which transformational leaders bring about transformations is to facilitate proactive behavior on the part of subordinates. By being proactive, subordinates take the initiative to bring about positive change. The turnaround artist or transformational leader cannot take care of all problems at once in a troubled organization. A practical strategy is to get around the limitations of funds, staff, or equipment by concentrating resources on areas that are most in need of change and have the biggest potential payoff. Transformational leaders appeal to the ideals and values of their constituents, thereby enhancing commitment to a carefully crafted vision. Group members become more responsible because they're inspired and they engage more constructive behavior, such as organizational citizenship behavior or helping out even without a promise of reward. Here we look to two empirical studies about the effects of charismatic and transformational leadership in work settings. The studies summarized here are also useful in understanding how transformational leadership affects behavior. Laissez-faire leadership is a style that gives group members the freedom to do basically what they want with almost no direction. The three approaches to leadership were measured by questions based on subordinates' perception. The criteria included follower job satisfaction, follower leader satisfaction, follower motivation, leader job performance, group performance, and rated leader effectiveness. Increasingly, transactional leadership was also shown to produce good results, and laissez-faire leadership was associated with negative results. Transformational leadership was negatively related to laissez-faire leadership. The explanation is most likely that transformational leaders are actively involved with group members. A group of researchers studied the impact of leadership effectiveness on organizational performance by collecting data from 134 mid-level managers from a large Brazilian energy company. The personality traits of the participants and transformational leadership were measured by questionnaires completed by subordinates, and performance was measured by both ratings from supervisors and company records. The findings indicated that leadership effectiveness, as measured by organizational outcomes or business results, was a direct function of the leader's transformational behavior. Furthermore, intelligence and conscientiousness are the individual differences that contribute to the most of being transformational leaders. A study of this nature emphasizes how transformational leadership can benefit organizations. A topic of charismatic leadership has been challenged from two major standpoints: the validity of the concept and the misdeeds of charismatic leaders. According to the concept of leadership polarity, leaders are either revered or vastly unpopular. Many leaders in public office experience the same problem. Charisma needs to be mixed with humility for full effectiveness. Another problem with the concept of charisma is that it may not be necessary for leadership effectiveness. Some people believe that charismatic leadership can be exercised for evil purposes. This argument was introduced previously in relation to personalized charismatic leaders. When charismatic leaders are highly narcissistic, organizational performance may suffer. One reason is that the highly narcissistic leader will be disliked and resented. Some charismatic leaders are unethical and lead organizations and outsiders towards illegal and immoral acts. People are willing to follow the charismatic leader down an illegal or unethical path because of his or her personal magnetism. A broad perspective on the downside of both charismatic and transformational leadership is that emphasizing these behaviors directs attention away from other important aspects of leader-follower relationship. Recognize that a true charismatic and transformational leader is highly concerned about human welfare and attaining outstanding organizational performance.